Today's sponsor is Loot Crate. For less than $20 a month, Loot Crate gives the geek in you a special treat every month. Loot Crate is a subscription box service with more than $40 worth of geek, gamer, and pop culture gear, collectibles, apparel, comics, etc. delivered to your mailbox every month. This month, they're bringing you a fight for the ages. Suit up, choose your allies, and enter the arena for combat. They're ready to stand their ground this month with exclusive items from Blizzard, Fallout 4, Capcom, sponsor-worthy loot from the Hunger Games, as well as a few more items that will help their winners emerge victorious. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over, Jack. So go to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on your new subscription today.
Going in the documentary. Yes.
It's your turn to take us home. What's your topic?
My topic is...
No. Well, I was going to interrupt.
interrupt.
Yeah, but I thought I was going to let you go. I didn't want it to be a natural interrupt.
Just interrupt. It's
I'm
okay.
interrupting.
What the fuck is wrong with
He
us?
opened his mouth. You opened your mouth
I
to
did.
interrupt me.
I did, and I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you now. Your
My
topic
topic
is
is
you don't get it. You don't get to do it. You don't get to pick
Okay.
it. You don't get to pick it. Your topic comes from the community at patreon.com/kindafunny. Christopher Ball submitted a topic. He said, "Hey, best friends. So I would like your help."
My topic was going to be real dirty, by the way.
Great.
Kind of shit that changes a man.
Marriage.
dirtiest
Christopher Ball,
thing.
everybody. Hey, best friends. So I would like to help you guys revisit topics that you said, quote, we can revisit on another topic. Because we do that a lot.
We do.
Since I am still catching up on all the Game Over Greggy shows, I believe I am on episode 73. I'm hoping that y'all haven't said these yet. He gave us a list to choose from. The one I've chosen is Nick. Defend Watchmen. Apparently somewhere between episode 1 and 73, Watchmen came up. And
I think it was the trailer episode. We're talking about best trailers ever.
Okay.
We're talking about Zack Snyder, and we're talking about
Right,
Watchmen.
the Muse trailer. The trailer has me. I mean, I liked Watchmen, man. That was one of those. I have this weird thing where I don't really read that much. I don't really open books that much. So as far as I get is the graphic novel, and The Watchmen, of course, is a very famous and popular graphic novel by Alan Moore, I want to say. But I had not heard of it. I had seen the posters. I had seen the smiley face with the blood, and I was like, that's cool, whatever. It wasn't until I started IGN that someone's like, oh, they're making this into a movie. I was like, that looks like a dope movie. And they're like, well, it's based on a book. And I'm like, I didn't know that. No, I don't fuck. Why the fuck would I know that? But so I went back and obviously read the book. I'm like, I'm gonna read the graphic novel before it comes out. And I watched the movie and I was like, this is a really cool almost a frame by frame interpretation of what I read, minus of course a couple things that you kind of I thought should be changed. Namely, the ending was a little bit weird, and it kind of made more sense, I think, in the movie. And they cut out some of the newspaper stuff,
the kid reading the
kid
comic,
stuff and all that stuff, which I thought honestly, if we're being honest, dragged like crazy when you read the book. So I watched it. I was like, this is really, really cool. And I think everyone went back and watched The Watchmen, or everyone that saw The Watchmen was like, that didn't know the original source material, probably was like, this is a really shitty superhero movie because they're just getting their ass kicked the entire time. And they're kind of like, the guy's kind of fat now, and I don't understand what's going on in that. But that's not what it's about. It really is. It's sort of it's using those old tropes of superheroes to sort of have more of a deeper meaning as far as what's happening in society. I thought it was a good film.
See, I'm with
no problem with it.
This is the thing about it, is that I'm with you. I've always liked Watchmen. I went and saw Watchmen, enjoyed it, and left. I, of course, am a huge comic nerd. I've read Watchmen, but I'm coming of age in the 80s or whatever. I don't read Watchmen till late. Probably I want to say college, somewhere, and then I read.
What is the date of publish?
Let's look it up.
Oh, I feel like it was
80, 88 is what you're saying?
I think it was before me.
Okay.
Yeah, like I did a weird run. That thing, like, Watchmen also holds a special place in my heart because I think because of that, I was like, oh, there's also these awesome like graphic novels from back in the day that I should read.
Yeah.
And I went back and read one called The Dark Knight Returns. And I'm like, that was worth it.
Yeah.
Published in 86 and 87, collected in 87.
Okay.
So I get to it late, and it's a classic. It's one of the best things ever, and da-da-da-da. And I read it, and I enjoy it, but I don't have, it's what we were talking about earlier in this episode, where people have built it up to such a state that by the time you get to it, you're like, oh, I'm reading a classic. You're like, it was good. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, I didn't feel changed when I left it. You know what I mean? So I never had the attachment to Watchmen that so many people did. Went and saw the movie, thought it was great. And then I think it's the opposite, actually. You're talking about people coming in and going, that was a boring superhero movie. For me, it seems like everybody who loved Watchmen hates the movie. That seems to be the reaction.
Well,
I
no,
get.
that's
I think
definitely-
there's three different camps because I think there's the people that knew nothing about the book or the movie,
Yeah.
and that's what he's talking about. Like my friends were like, "This is a shitty superhero movie."
Okay.
Whereas for me, I knew about the book, but I didn't read it until after I saw the movie, and I'm right there with you guys. I loved the movie,
Yeah.
and I thought I liked the changes that they made. But then there is the third camp, which is the loudest camp, which is, oh, fuck the movie.
purists,
You changed
yeah.
the shit. The book's better. How could you do this? Whatever. So I think those are the real three things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know
think-
too many people that didn't like either of them, either the book or the movie. you know?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever. It's also sacrilege to talk shit about the book, the graphic novel. Like it's one of those. It's such a classic at this point that people instantly like it, whether or not they've read it. Right? They talk about it as though it were like sacred. I liked it. It wasn't. I thought it was a cool story. I liked seeing it unfold, and I also was very, very interested to see what Zack Snyder was going to do following up 300, which I think this was the follow-up film to it. And I think I also got a lot of shit for that too, because everyone's like, "Oh, he's so good at visuals, but he can't tell a story."
Exactly,
I'm
and
like, dude,
that
he is
continues.
fucking telling a great story here. You just don't like the story.
And see, like, I'm looking. I put in Watchmen sucks and came up with a whole bunch of fucking reviews, right? And here's one that's pulled from Noah Berlatsky. He says, one of the most telling characters is Rorschach. In the comic, he's repulsive and ludicrous. A tiny man with lifts in his shoes. He suffers from major sexual problems, and his disguise is a street person whose placard reads, "The end is nigh." The backstory makes him both more likable and less admirable. The moment in the comic when he threatens his landlady is uncomfortable, but the next panel, where he spares her because of her child, who reminds him of himself as a boy, is extremely poignant. Snyder alludes to some of this. We glimpse Rorschach in his civvies wandering around with his sign, but it never coheres. Viewers new to the story might not even realize this nutty doomsayer is the vigilante's alter ego. All we're left with is another cool as shit dark hero kicking ass in glossy martial arts sequences, doing the dirty work of justice. Like maybe, and like you'd have to tell me on your first viewing how much of it you put together. For me, I guess maybe that's the cheat, is that I came in knowing the real story, the backstory, everything about it, knowing the characters, not being like, these, I love them, they're fucking perfect, you know what I mean? Like, I understood all that. I thought it was communicated.
I mean, to be fair, like watching it, I didn't get everything from watching it the first time, but I remember wanting to watch it again because I instantly knew, I was like, I didn't catch everything in that.
Right.
Like, I do think that there was a lot of subtleties and stuff, and I think that the soundtrack that the movie had was fucking exquisite, and it really added to it, and it enhanced the whole experience overall. And it's like another one of the moments that a lot of people hate on is the sex scene.
I like that.
Hallelujah's playing, and like
Yeah.
that. It's just like, I liked that. It felt right. It felt like he nailed the tone of the comic in movie form,
Yeah.
which there's no songs in the fucking comic book. Like
Right.
adding that stuff is gonna change things, but I think that they changed things in line with what the story was.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, at the same time, a movie is only so long.
Yeah, you have to make sacrifices.
Yeah. Whereas this graphic novel is, there's a lot more information. There's a lot more opportunities. And what Colin was talking about in the last couple of topics, it's like it kind of leaves a lot more up to you. Nick was talking about the storyboard thing where you kind of fill in the blanks. Guess what? All the subtleties and stuff you're talking about, filled in, aren't these crazy things you see in your head. It's what the movie was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's the same when it's always the same when they take great books. And how many times have you heard someone say, "Well, the book is always better than the movie"?
Right, exactly.
It's just gonna be. Of course, it's gonna be, because you have an infinite amount of pages with which to write this story and to develop these characters and to go anywhere you want to go with it. But guess what? No one would sit in a theater if they knew the movie was going to be 6 hours long or 7 hours long. They would have to break it up. It would have to be a trilogy, and then that's a whole rigmarole. And they're not going to do that with Watchmen, right? So you have 2.5 hours really to capture people's attention and tell the story. And so you have to, as the screenwriter or as the director, you have to really or as the editor, because maybe they shot all that stuff and the editor was like, dude, we can't, this is like a 3.5 hour movie. Maybe we got to like chop this part out where he's just sitting there begging on the street for fucking 25 minutes because it develops his character. Which, by the way, I felt that's complete bullshit. That character, how many fucking shots do you have to see of him? We saw him as a bum.
Yeah.
And then we see his face at the end. We see him in jail. We see all these things. We knew it was him. That's ridiculous.
Sorry,
That's
Noah.
dismissed. Noah's dismissed.
Noah, you're dismissed.
Well, hold on. Let me take an idea. Yeah. Right. Did I nail it?
Nailed it. Crushed it. It's as good as my Detective Lance impression.
What's your? Oh, that was a good impression
Yeah.
though. Why does he have a New York accent?
Tell me this Queen kid over here comes back the same time the Arrow does?
Have you noticed that he sits a little too close to everyone in
No.
Arrow? He's here,
Yeah, still can't tell it's
when he
Oliver
should be
Queen.
here. Well, I just mean in general. He always sits down next to Laurel and he's like, Laurel. And he's way too earnest. Way too earnest in every scene. Doesn't matter.
No, the way he
Ever
says
since your
Laurel,
mother
though.
went.
Wow.
He's
That
like
gets to
it's
me.
like fucking watching. It's
Love
like
that show, but
take
that gets
Columbo
to
out
me.
of Columbo and put it in, and that's him. But yeah,
Alex-
I mean, I thought it was good. But Alex, we talked
Yeah,
to
what do
a
you
little bit
think?
about
What do
this.
you think? What is your take on the Watchmen movie?
Man?
Did you love the comic?
No.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
I
So it was adequate. It was an adequate
I-
reproduction.
Kevin's doing the lean in thing. You got to lean in.
I don't really have. I mean, Watchmen. Didn't hate it. Didn't love it.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. It was very forgettable.
Mm.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can really say about it. It wasn't any fault of its own, but at the time I remember there was just a lot of stuff I was more interested in, and I feel like I might have been taking a Vietnam War literature class at the same time, so it was one of those just like, oh, this shit again. Like I read so much stuff about that in so many random ways pertained to Vietnam that I was just for a couple months I was just done.
Nommed out.
Yeah, exactly. It got to a point where like I was
Nom,
playing.
son.
I was playing. I remember like later on I was playing Black Ops 1, and I got to a point I was like, fuck, I can't do this. Can't do this. Too much straight to multiplayer, and I never do that for
No,
Call of
really?
Duty. I used to
That's crazy.
beat them on veteran.
No one
and
ever
play,
does that for Call of Duty.
I-
Just skip
I-
the single player campaign and go straight to multiplayer.
I used to always do
Bucking with you.
the single player on veteran and then start in because I felt like it made me better at the multiplayer.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and I
Gets
think
used to the
up
mechanics.
to Black Ops, they had some interesting stories in there. Modern Warfare 1 was pretty interesting, and I don't know. I think it was a large part
Sure.
of my reaction to Watchmen was just this shit again.
Well, I feel like it's also one of those things where you look back, and I wasn't reading comics in '86. I don't think I was reading anything in '86. So it's one of those things where we've seen now the sort of the turn from comics being about superheroes like Superman or Batman, or the classic superheroes, to let's peel that back a little bit and let's tell a really dark, fucked up story.
Yeah.
And really dive into the psyche of this guy that's like living on the streets, or his alter ego is a bum, but he's also a vicious vigilante. That might have been, I don't know, and maybe people can correct me, but that might have been one of the first of its kind to really tell a story like that and have it be brutal and fucked up,
Well, I
and main
also think
characters
it
die,
kind of,
and like,
yeah, it definitely hit like a resonance with
Sure.
people where you were saying that it led you to Dark Knight Returns.
Right.
Me too. Like
Right.
it was around that time period where I realized like, oh, comic books aren't just this monthly thing
Right.
where there's just like a bunch of shit and ongoing stories where there's continuity, nothing makes sense. Like essentially to me, comic books in my mind before I started reading them, because I didn't get into comics until maybe like 6 years ago. Before then, I just thought it was just, images and words versions of the animated 90s shows. I was just like, all right, it's just more.
Sure.
But then once I found out about Watchmen and then Dark Knight Returns, I was like, oh shit. Like there are stories being told that are really awesome. And, they're dark and there's thought put into them. And they make you think. And I think Watchmen is one of those things where watching it, like the whole time I was like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. That's good. I should be thinking about this. You can't just glaze over. Like you guys were talking about Superman and like how it explains to you exactly what's happening. Watchmen doesn't do
Switch
that.
places.
I see. I don't know why.
Now you're
I don't know why
Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum as Gene Hackman.
That'd be amazing.
But Watchmen doesn't hold your hand in that way entirely. I mean, it's a movie, so that it has to have a plot that makes
Right.
sense. But there's a lot of subtleties. There's a lot of metaphors. There's a lot of things that are once you get it, once you're watching it with that frame, you're like, oh, this is great. This makes sense. But if you're just watching it, you're like,
That's a bad superhero movie.
that's
Comedian's
watch it
a
like this guy-
jerk.
yeah.
But that's the thing, and that, I think it's also harder for like the older it gets, I think the harder and harder it's going to be to put it in context, like when it came out as an original story, and then the movie. Or like by the time the movie had been made, we had seen other things like that, and so it's very difficult, and it's always really, really hard. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of saying like, no, it was great because it was great for its time. But because I think The Watchmen does still hold up, I think you can read it now and be like, that's actually a really cool story. But at the same time, I don't know, like when that movie came out, if people were, I don't know if it was as shocking as it was supposed to be, right? And maybe people just didn't resonate with it.
I think that was remembering it now. I think part of my issue was the pacing and the fact that everyone seemed to tell me it was going to be shocking. It just wasn't.
Once they give you, you're told something's going to be something, you go in thinking.
And it was just, I remember there were parts of it where I was watching the movie and I was like, really? that's when you want to do that. Oh, okay. I mean, it was mostly because everyone told me, oh, this is gonna be great, blah blah blah, whatever. And I remember a lot of it just like missed beats to me. I was like, I feel like you went from A to C. You know what I mean? There's I know why you had to, but
I would say they went
it back.
I would say in this, for that analogy though, the A and the B and C were on the same, side of the different sides of the same fence, right? They're not necessarily a linear thing. I would think that they go in a direction purposely opposite of where you think they should go. Not necessarily a pacing reason, but like the whole story is about how these characters were living one life and then realizing that life was completely like different or contrary to to what it should have been, and then revisiting that, like even it's a bold choice to take your main character, and I can't remember if he was this way in the movie. I think he was, and make him overweight for 90% of.
No, he was.
He has this
Owlman?
Owlman, who was like this super fit guy when he was like doing it back in the day, and now he's kind of old and fat and slower, and reliving those glory days doesn't really work for him in the way it's even supposed to, right? In traditional stories, he's supposed to get fit and go out there and kick ass, and that's just not the story. If that's what you're looking for, you're not going to like this movie.
Yeah, and I think those were some of the things it did right, but a bit of it was I remember the one like real thing I left that movie with was they asked me to care at the wrong points. Near the beginning, there's the whole I guess it's spoilers for the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Guys. Yeah,
Don't worry about it. You can spoil Watchmen.
The comedian gets thrown out a window, and everyone, I understand you're not supposed to know that.
A comedian does.
Yeah, that whole thing. It was just like, and they're slowly explaining it and all, but it's like, I just don't give a fuck. The dude gets thrown out of a window. It's like you're asking me to eventually care. And
that's
I'm like,
the thing. That's why it's so good, because at first you're like, that's weird. I didn't know that guy. And then you get to know him in the comic books, at least. I can't remember how the movie played out. You start to get to know him. You're like, this guy's not a likable guy.
Yeah, that's still the way.
And then Alan Moore somehow makes you care about that, which is just really weird. It's good storytelling, I thought. But you're right. Maybe the movie did have. I mean,
it was the movie.
It's not perfect.
I don't remember.
Definitely not.
I'm always shocked by just the amount of hate that movie gets. You know what I mean?
But I think it's a Snyder thing overall.
I think it is a Snyder
thing. I think people really kind of hate on him.
People love hating on Zack
Snyder.
Snyder.
Over the top levels.
I guess, but I mean, even at the time, it felt like people hated him, and you didn't even know.
Yeah, but even then, though, I think that was kind of it was around the time when everyone just started hating him, and that was the point
because
where
he
it's
did
like
300, and then
300's awesome.
And it's a similar trailer, very visually inspired.
But the other thing there is like,
musical.
oh my god, 300's the coolest thing, and then it became cool to not like 300. And then you see this. I think that's what it was.
I love 300.
300 was hilarious.
I never liked 300.
I never watched 300.
I can completely understand why you wouldn't. I really can. My wife, because
It's too stylish.
I watched Sin City Dame to Kill For, which I surprisingly liked. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to like, because it got shit on. And I thought it was actually pretty good. I'm like, I don't know people's problems with this, but it's that style. People just can't get into it. It's like that purposely really, really cartoony style. I love 300. I even liked the second one, Rise of an Empire.
That story could have been told in such a cool way, and it wasn't. In my opinion, it was such a waste. I remember watching.
You should go back and read the graphic novel. It's awesome.
With Mark Ryan, I remember at IGN, he and I went and watched it, and I was just like, ugh, what a waste.
I think you might be missing out on what it turned out to be, because if you watch it as a comedy, you'll be very entertained. And Troy, if you watch them as
Troy, I did see as well.
If you watch them as comedies, at one point in Troy,
take it, it's yours.
Take it, it's yours.
Brad Pitt just looks at a whole army and yells, "Is there no one else?" And I just lose it every time. It's hilarious. He stood in front of a ton of people and did that, and everyone expected, like, you're gonna be in the theater like, Achilles, and I'm just like, what the fuck's Brad Pitt doing?
He's looking dope in that
And
fucking
same thing
armor.
for
Is what
Really
he's
fucking
doing.
cool as shit.
The same
Having
thing in
sex with the
300.
slave girls.
They bring out Xerxes on that giant thing. Every time I see that dude, I just start laughing.
Well, that purposely was supposed to be kind of a weird vlog. He was supposed to be kind of an androgynous, sort of weird-looking,
All I know is
ethereal
it's hilarious.
character. I liked 300. I got into it. I can see why you wouldn't. I can see why you wouldn't like Watchmen either. But just go in now. I would say everyone give it another watch. Go in with your expectations set to it not being a superhero movie, and you might like it a little bit more. And for the love of God, stop giving Zack Snyder so much shit. He's a good filmmaker.
I'm with you on that one.
Everyone just, for some fucking reason, he became like,
It's cool to
when
hate him.
he hit the market with 300, and it's exactly what you're talking about. The fucking trailer came out, and everyone was like, "This is gonna be the coolest movie ever made." And then people saw it, and they were like, "Wow, that's really stylized." I didn't like it, but instead of, and I loved it. I loved 300. I still think it was a great film, just because I like that it was different and they were trying something new. But then everyone turned that hate into like mega hate. Like Zack Snyder was supposed to be the second coming of Christ, and he let everyone down. And that stigma, unfortunately, has followed the guy
we're
to
talking
every
about
film he's making.
it's only the loud people.
I was going to say, his movies keep making money.
His movies keep making.
DC and
he
Warner
just made-
Brothers keeps giving him movies,
Yeah.
so it's like, I'm sure he's like, go
Cool.
ahead. I suck. You're right.
I'm making
Left
Here's
all
the
the way
photo of
to
the
the
fucking
Superman.
Batmobile. I'll see you in hell.
I'm crying in my own private Starbucks. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
That'd be dope if he had that.
Yeah. All right. Good topic, Nick / Christopher Ball.
Well, thanks.
You did a
Christopher
good
Ball.
job defending it. It was so good.
Yeah.
The topic got sponsored.
Is it sponsored?
It is. Who do you think sponsored it?
Hell yeah.
Squarespace.
Oh, is it Squarespace? Our
did it,
friends
yeah.
at Squarespace?
You built our website with Squarespace.
I did.
It looks very good.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I like it a lot. I like Squarespace. I swear by them. I mean, look, if you don't feel like going out there and learning HTML or any other sort of coding programming or any other sort of web language, use Squarespace. It's easier. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But guess what? I made a website. You can too.
Squarespace provides simple, powerful, and beautiful tools to make websites that look professionally designed regardless of skill level. No coding required.
See?
Not only does Squarespace provide you with intuitive and easy-to-use tools to create your website.
Knuckleheads on the other side of the
Squarespace.
table are laughing at me.
Who's laughing at you?
These two over there. Egg and Ook.
I'm laughing with
Egg
you.
and Ook?
Egg and Ook.
Who are they?
I don't know. It's a line
Nick,
from
I
Hudson
was
Hawk.
about to give you so much credit for not
Hawk.
interrupting this, and then you interrupted.
Great
Squarespace
film.
also has state-of-the-art technology powering your site to ensure security and stability. And you can trust in Squarespace for your website needs when millions. Oh, is this what is this? This is the Viper? Why is he so tired today? That's just Portillo. You're just being weird. When millions of people and respected brands around the world trust them too. Seriously, you can't beat the ease and simplicity of Squarespace. Squarespace gives you 24/7 online support, a beautiful website. So what are you waiting for? Start a trial with no credit card required and start building your website today. When you decide to sign up for Squarespace, make sure you use the offer code KINDAFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for us. Kinda funny.
You know who also went to Squarespace?
No.
My friend Scott. He made a website for his movie.
What up, Scott?
What's his movie called?
Nico. The movie is called Nico. It's a short
Okay.
film.
Nico, cousin.
Nico.
Yeah, it's NicoTheMovie.com.
Okay.
It looks really good. Very excited for it.
Cool.
A lot of people I know worked on it, and I think it's going to turn out really well.
All right.
Take it home, Colin.
Build it beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. If you didn't know, each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you if you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our friend Alex did, to support us. You get each and every episode early, and if you don't have any bucks to toss this, it's no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we post the show topic by topic, day by day, until we give the entire thing away as a giant video and giant MP3. Did you have fun?
Yes, I did.
Are you hot? It's hot in this room. See how we're talking about how hot it is?
Okay, maybe it's
not
just
that bad.
because
You Austin
not that bad.
motherfucker.
I don't know, man.
Look at even Kevin's
My dad's
not
from
sweating.
Egypt though, so
Oh.
Maybe
You got
naturally adapted to the
Maybe.
heat.
What did you show him the episode about being when we were like what we wanted to be
I have
buried in
shown
our
him
tombs?
no episode.
Oh, that's probably for the best.
because
He's
no,
probably older.
actually, he probably watched him. I remember. This is gonna make you guys feel old. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
My
I'm
dad one
focusing on
time-
Kevin. Kevin just scratched his armpit for the better part of 5 minutes. I just want you
Did
guys
that
to
make
know
you
that.
feel old?
No, it just would kind of. He's a distraction. Pros and cons with him.
My dad one time came in when I was in like middle school, started talking about you should read this article on IGN by this guy Greg Miller. I really like his writing.
Your dad did not come in.
Yes, he did.
Why is your dad reading IGN?
Because
Is he big into
my
video
dad
games?
is a nerd,
Oh, that's awesome.
much like myself.
Shout out to Mr. Aziz.
Yeah, well, he's probably not watching.
Well, now just show him this part,
yeah,
not the other horrible parts we did.
yeah, okay. Then he'll go watch the other horrible parts though, and then I'll be in trouble.
Today's episode also gave us, right before we came in to record it, not right before, but today Colin was saying that he's starting to like Portillo more and more. And I think it now makes sense because Portillo's getting older. So Colin's starting to feel nostalgic for him, just like he feels nostalgic for old places.
Well, I've lived with Portillo for half his life,
I know, it's crazy, right?
and I've always liked Portillo.
I know,
I
I
just
know.
bust his balls.
I know.
But he and I have our moments.
I busted him the worst.
But I'm being more open about my my adoration of Portillo.
Yeah.
He's the stupidest motherfucker on the planet.
Sure.
By far. But that's part of his charm. That's part of his
I don't
charm.
know. He just
Plus, he's
looked
getting
at me like I belonged to him now.
You do. Now I can see through time.
like putting back his giving that fox kind of look.
Like he looks like he's running really fast. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Want to give a quick shout out though.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, so sorry.
Everyone, check out Sean Twisters on Twitch.
Yes.
Oh, we know
Good-
him.
good
Sean
kid.
Pitts.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a good
fun
kid.
time.
Yeah.
If you're one of the best friends, or even if you're not and just found this video, you should come hang out with us sometime.
You should.
Are you in his chat a lot?
Yes, I am.
Do you have your own Twitch channel?
I do, but I do not stream.
Oh, okay.
I'm the conductor for the rest of the community who might know me.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me.
I've seen you in our chat.
Yeah, I'm there sometimes.
All right.
He was there this morning.
Yeah. We read your thing today.
Do I
Indeed, I
brutally
was.
ridicule you when you type things in the chat?
No.
Oh.
No, I say intelligent.
Well, we'll change
things.
that. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.